unfortunately sounds like a lot of stories that I've seen without actually even really hearing, right? And what I mean by this is that oftentimes we even participate in bullying without realizing that we're participating in it. I'm not trying to, minimize anything that anybody's done. And we are back with the Happy Hr podcast. I'm Cousin P in the place to be with May, and today we are talking about bullying.
Bullies.
Yes. It kind of felt weird to come with the normal energy that I usually have on that intro, because I didn't want to sound so excited, oh yeah, we're talking about bullies, guys. I don't know. I just felt like that would be a little.
This is more serious topic.
Yeah, this is definitely way more serious in comparison to some of the other things that we've talked about. Not saying that the other stuff we talked about is not serious. This, I think, has way more.
It's a more serious tone.
Yeah, and I think we have to come correct with this topic, and there's a responsibility in the way that we even carry the topic that we need to have. So but before we jump into the actual topic here, we are sipping on lovely margaritas made by yours truly. You can hop on the Arctic House page so that way you can see how to make these delicious margaritas. They are mango strawberry, and they have a little citrus salt on the top. I know. Here I am. Here I am hyping it up like crazy. So cheers. You can't really even hear it.
I know. Hold on. Let's do the bottom. You got to do the bottom.
Oh, there we go.
Nope.
I almost spilled my shit. That's crazy. And I did some beautiful craftsmanship with getting the mangoes and stuff. Y'all gonna see that later anyways. Yeah, we're sipping on the margaritas, but first off, thank you everyone who is watching or listening. Caught that, right? You saw what I did there?
Mm-hmm.
The listening part.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I say listening? Well, because they're going to be on. Are you chewing? Oh my God. Anyways, they're going to be on streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple. Honestly, you actually may be already listening to this on Spotify, Apple, or Google, or any of the other streaming services, because we are now going to be launching on there. So I think that's pretty excited, right?
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
So more people can listen and stuff, and we can get out there and people can hear our opinions. So I think it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. And that was the number one thing I keep hearing from people is, they want to be able to listen to our podcast without having to go on YouTube. I love you, YouTube, but we got to provide some
options
variables.
For people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you are watching those on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, hit the notification. But why are we talking about this, Megan?
Because this is something that a lot of people deal with. A lot of people deal with bullying. Either they've been the bully or they are the bully. So I feel like this is something that a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah. And I pulled up some information about bullying, just to kind of paint a bigger picture of why this is even a topic in the first place that I think should be talked more about regardless. So 1 in 5 kids or students are bullied. 1 in 5 kids are either cyberbullied, partake in cyberbullying, or have seen someone else be cyberbullied. Bully victims are 9 times more likely to commit suicide than non-bully victims.
That makes sense.
That to me is crazy. I mean, it does make sense, but 9 times, right?
Yeah.
And the scary part about it is that, as I just read off, it's the people who usually deal with bullying the most is usually teenagers. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. So if if we're talking about 9 times more likely to commit suicide, who we're really talking about here is kids.
Yeah.
Right. 10 to 14-year-old girls are at a higher risk of suicide, and also at a higher risk of being bullied. So this is really near and dear to me, because I do have children. I have both. I have a boy and a girl, twins, same age. And my kids, from their own mouths, they don't feel like they've been bullied at all at school. But my daughter, she has been made fun of and called names because of her hair. Or
She has gorgeous hair.
she does. She
Oh
has
my gosh, kids are so mean. I
right.
can't.
But we're African American, and when you have afro hair, it's
People
from
just
my
aren't
own
nice,
experience, yeah,
unfortunately.
people tend to polarize towards that, or call that out, and pick on girls who have that hairstyle. You even see it in media too.
Yeah, like the
So
teachers, like, that's still a form of bullying. Like the teachers cutting the kids' hair and
yeah,
stuff
I heard
like
about
that.
that.
And there was this one kid, he had like a karate tournament,
Yeah,
had a karate tournament, and they made, oh, it was a girl. Sorry, it's gymnastics. And they made her take out all of her beads out of her hair
yeah,
because it wasn't like professional or whatever.
yeah,
That's bullying to me. It was ridiculous.
yeah. So and plus, I was, bullied at one point in my life, and I've also have been the bully.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I do have some qualifications to speak on this. But overall, we just kind of want to provide an insight. But have you ever been bullied, Megan?
Yes.
Okay.
I have been bullied throughout different stages of my life. When I was in elementary school, I moved to where my family lives now. We moved there when I was like in 3rd grade, and I
Mm-hmm.
was bullied by a lot of people, and I don't even remember why. It was just probably just some petty stuff.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a lot of friends in elementary school. Middle school was better. Didn't deal with that in high school. But as an adult, I also dealt with bullying with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I've dealt with it at like a really young stage, and then as like my current stage now, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? What's your experience?
Yeah. So okay. So I experienced most of my bullying, or most of the bullying I experienced, was from the 1st grade to the 3rd grade. You know, and there was a little bit of it in the later grades, but not, honestly, not too much of it. Not really anything that I would consider bullying, because it didn't affect my life in that way, or it didn't affect me in that way. But
Being mean is mean. Just because you have a
yeah,
thick
yeah,
skin, some people can take other things more than others.
right, right. So from the 1st to the 3rd grade, um, I did bounce around a lot to a lot of different schools, and it was mainly my parents trying to put me in really good schools. Now I get it. I'm not that old. However, racism definitely exists. And there's a lot of places still, even at that time where I was in elementary school, where uh, diversity hadn't impacted a lot of places. A lot of places weren't, you know, you didn't see people who looked like me, and everywhere I went. I didn't see people who looked like me everywhere I went. So one of the schools that I had my longest stay at, I'm not going to say the school because I don't want people who went there to really feel some type of way. But I was one in three African American kids there. Like there was only three other kids that were black,
Mm-hmm.
and I got made fun of a lot because of that, because of just being black. I got made fun of a lot for different things about black culture, like doing a fade. Like that was like that stuff like that was uncool. Stuff like that I got bullied about. Kids would fuck with me for having shorter hair, because every Caucasian kid had
The long
the
hair, the Justin
long,
Bieber haircut,
yeah,
right?
the long Beach Boy hair with the with the blonde highlights and shit. So I didn't fit into that. And I constantly got excluded from different activities. Anytime I walked on a basketball court, they wouldn't let me play. Anytime I walked on the soccer field, they wouldn't let me play. They wouldn't let me do anything with them. Which I've talked about before on this podcast, which is why it ultimately led me to making friends with females
Mm-hmm.
mostly. Like in the early years, which is why I have a lot of lady friends still. Like, and it kind of affected me in that way. Like, it makes it really hard for me, even still to this day, to
have like make like bond and have like friendships and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially with other males. I mean, to be honest, they have a shorter stick with me than than females do, just because of that. Um, and then I would say going into the fourth grade, I got bullied a little bit, or I would say picked on, but for I guess the lack of culture that I did have, right? Because it was a complete culture shock to the school that I begged my parents to let me go to in the fourth grade, and there was way more African American kids there. There was way more black kids there, but I spoke like this, and I enunciated all of my words, and said every single letter in each word, and I got picked on because I spoke proper, or I spoke,
Yeah, I
I
get what
didn't
you're
I
saying.
didn't
Yeah.
use slang or ebonics or anything like that. But that really didn't play didn't play a huge role in my life or my upbringing. I mean, it was just really like a small second.
Hmm.
How has bullying overall affected you, though?
Um, it's affected me a lot, honestly, because the bullying I dealt with when I was older and it was like a group of a group of girls. We were all friends and stuff, and it kind
Yeah.
of just turned sour. You know what I'm talking about. And then I had another situation with another friend, and that situation kind of ended in a little bit of bullying. It's affected me a lot. Like, I don't really have
Okay.
a lot of close relationships with females.
In what ways? So I'm going to kind of force you to be a little vulnerable here, okay, and go as far as you're willing to go. Now, I deal with anxiety, and I know you deal with anxiety too.
Yeah,
Would you say that your anxiety stems from some of the bullying that you had to deal with?
definitely. Because I always, meeting new people makes me really nervous.
Yeah.
Because I'm nervous that they're gonna make me feel like what I'm saying is stupid or it's just not interesting. Like, people talk over me, and I dealt with that with the bullying, and so yeah, it definitely affects me. Meeting new people makes me very nervous. My
Yeah.
anxiety is very high.
Yeah. And I would say like that's the number one area that I noticed that I was heavily affected in. I mean, I deal with social anxiety, and my social anxiety stems from anytime what triggers it is anytime there's a situation that's uncomfortable socially. Anything, like if I think that someone doesn't like me, which once again is something I dealt with from the first grade to third grade. No one liked me just because of being who I was. That triggers it. Having arguments triggers it. Once, like you said, starting new friendships, meeting people for the first time is crazy. It gives me so much anxiety and puts me on so much edge, just because I just don't know how that relationship's going to turn out. You know,
Yeah.
and I've bragged about it so much on this podcast. Like, my friend circle is so small, and that's really the main contributor, is the fact that I have been burned by a lot of people in my earlier years, and even as I've gotten older. But that's like the main thing that's created so much anxiety for me, is just the fact that I was bullied.
Yeah, it may just gives you, oh my God, I get the worst anxiety attack sometimes meeting new people or parties.
Yeah,
Parties are fun. Like, once I get a few drinks and stuff and I'm cool, I'm very social. But like, when I first get there, it's not good. I'm
yeah,
super just anxious. I'm super anxious. I don't know, I want to meet people, but get past that part, you know?
right. Did it ever did bullying ever make you do anything that you didn't want to do, or do anything that was outside of your character of who you already were? Like, I am not I'm not a violent person.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I hate fighting. But I got in a lot of fights. I felt like violence was the only way for me to cope with my bullying. Right? Like, if someone was fucking with me, I had to, like, I wasn't going to back down no more.
Just stand up for yourself.
But that wasn't the way to handle it, and that wasn't honestly the way that I wish I would have been able to. And it did affect me later on, which we'll kind of dive into later. But was
Mm-hmm.
there anything that you would say that you kind of were forced to do, or you kind of just like dabbled in just because you were being bullied, like things like peer pressure, or even things like trying to fit in,
I feel like everyone tries to fit in, so I feel like I've never been no one's ever bullied me to force me to do anything, but
Yeah.
I do feel like I have the same thing, taken out my anger with bullying. So yeah, because I've been the bully at some point in my life too.
Mm-hmm.
I just like took all the anger out and decided to use it negatively, I guess. It wasn't very good.
Yeah.
It wasn't very fun.
No, I hear you loud and clear. Do you think you've ever been the bully?
Yes, I have. I definitely have.
Okay.
Not with so much my friends, because whenever I have a friendship, I usually try and put like all my all into it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when I was younger, I took my bullying out on my sister.
Ah.
Yeah, I wasn't always the
Okay.
nice big sister. Unfortunately, we never had that like dream relationship when we were younger. I was
So it was like one
kind
of
of
those
mean.
things where it was like because you were being bullied, you put it on her.
Yeah, and like
Okay.
my friends too, when we were younger, didn't like hanging out with my sister, and so I kind of like jumped on that bandwagon because they were my friends, and like, I want to keep these friendships. Like my sister's always going to be there. These
Yeah.
friends won't. So I kind of jumped on that bandwagon, and I regret it because like our relationship now is not suffering for it, but it could be better. It could definitely be better. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if I wasn't a bully to her when we were younger, our lives would be completely different.
Yeah. Have you ever apologized for it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't go very far.
No. I hear you.
We still fight now, so it's just like we just have to. We each have our own stuff we have to get through,
Yeah.
and then I feel like once we can do that, then we can really work on stuff. But
Yeah.
that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Okay.
That's all I'm
No,
gonna say.
like I said, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna make you go as.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep.
For,
I'm gonna keep going on if I don't catch myself. So no, I'm done. I'm done.
no, you can. You can let
I
it out.
can't.
You
I can't
you
talk
can let
now.
it out
No, I
anytime.
can't.
Anytime. This is your show.
Not publicly.
This
Not
is your
publicly.
show.
This isn't a therapy session. This is a
I know
podcast.
we definitely need to get a therapist on here one day. That's like one of my goals on this podcast is like to actually have like
This
a
is
higher
wrong with
professional
you,
talk
and this
about
is
it.
wrong with you, and this is wrong with you.
That's not what therapists do though. Therapists help you like learn different tools or the correct mechanisms for getting through something or coping with something because
Therapists also hit you with a lot of reality checks
you need
to
them.
your behavior, and I get that. I get
Yeah.
that.
You don't like it though.
I don't want to be put on camera. All these reality checks. I'm not trying to do
Then
that.
I'll do that one solo though. But okay. And to answer the question myself, like I said, I have been the bully. Um, and the same actually the same exact reason that you kind of bullied your sister,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because I was bullied. I felt like, okay, well, this is like the way to go. Like this is how you got to navigate high school, and or not high school. I
Just
didn't
life.
bully in high school. I didn't get bullied in high school. I don't even know if there were bullies at my high school, but
You guys are like 6 people.
I know it was so tiny. But elementary school and junior high, I was definitely a bully. Um, and I openly participated in it. What I mean by that, it was something I sought to do. Like,
You wanted to bully, basically.
yeah,
I
like it
feel like you
wasn't.
wanted the power. Because with bullying comes power. Because, like, as you're mean, like, when you get mean sometimes, you kind of just get, like, this, oh, I'm the boss type feeling, and you don't realize you're hurting people. But that's the feeling.
Yeah, well, part of it too is so. There was this period in my life where I feel like I used the people who I hung around. Like the people who I hung around had a reputation. I didn't exactly have that reputation, right? Like I wasn't, you know, that wasn't my lifestyle, but I hung around with those people. I had gotten into a couple fights. But because people knew that I hung around these certain, you know, type of folks,
Mm-hmm.
there were certain people who, in a way, did fear me just by association.
Makes sense.
And I used that to my advantage to the fullest. I I didn't lay a finger on anybody. Like there wasn't ever any like physical assault or when you put my hands on someone to actually coerce them to doing what I wanted them to do.
Just
But
intimidating a
it
little bit.
was definitely intimidation. It was, hey, do this test for me or else I'm going to hurt you. Give me your lunch money. And I was like that. It was, and I'm not trying to glorify. I'm not talking about it to try to like brag about it, because truthfully, I am super shameful of it. But that's just what it was.
Yeah, you got to be honest about it to move past it.
And I have way before this podcast, I would say, as soon as I turned an adult, to be honest with you, there was a time where I just felt an overwhelming sense of guilt, and I just had to reach out to all those people and apologize. And every person did accept my apology, I guess, in the way that they could. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh yeah, thank you, Prentice. Yeah, like, we're cool now. Like, not everybody was like that. Actually, there was only one person that was that well received my apology, and still to this day, me and him, we do communicate. I'm not going to say his name, but yeah, I had to make amends with everyone, and it wasn't from it was for me to an extent, but it was mostly that I had to be sure of the fact that these people they don't go through the same mental blocks that I have because of my bullying, right? Like, I do fear for that sometimes. Like, I do fear that, have I contributed to someone's anxiety? Is someone depressed because I contributed to making their lives worse or miserable in any type of way or any type of fashion? And it sucks, to really have like that honest moment with yourself, and realize like how damaging of a person you could be. You know what I mean? Like, we're all capable of doing bad things, if but I think deep down inside, most people we're not bad people. We just
make mistakes.
Yeah, we just have bad actions. So I definitely have to put that.
Bullying, I think, also has to do with maturity too. So the older you get, the more mature, and you realize the stuff that you've done is not right, or you could have handled it better, something like that.
Yeah, I would say maturity also too. In a I think it's not just maturity. Like okay, when I think of maturity, I think of like your attitude. Mm-hmm. I also think it takes a lot of growth. And when I think of growth, I think of your traumas. I think of healing, right? Because you could mature as far as like your attitude goes, but if you still have trauma in your life, you could inadvertently throw it on other people in a form that is bullying, right? Like, I had to do my research in order to even talk about this topic, just because I just wanted to make sure I covered all the bases. But one of the things that it talks about when it comes to bullying is one of the main reasons or one of the most common reasons why a lot of people become bullies is because of neglect in the home.
Yeah, they feel alone.
Right.
They take out their frustration on somebody or something.
Or abuse in the home. Something in the home. And I actually just recently had a situation just like this that really hit home. There was this little boy that's been picking on my daughter, and she told me about it, and of course I got in a heated rage, and I was ready to go up to the school
dad mode
and put hands on little boy's dad. And I was going to do it without even telling. Like, it would have been really fucked up. I would have walked up on dude, he wouldn't even knew why. Some black dude's walking up on him, and I'd have fucking just fucked him up. But I had a few moments to catch myself and really think it over. And instead of going at the dad, I decided to talk to the teacher to get her side of the story, to see if she's even has been made aware of it. Has my daughter told her, about this situation? And she did. And we had a good talk about it. And I actually got a chance to speak with the dad. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to speak on the exact situation that they're going through, but in their household, first off, the kid's not learning it from his dad. He's a single father, and there's a lot that's been going on in this little boy's life.
So he's just reacting to all of that, unfortunately.
Well, yeah, he's just lashing out. And bullying is not the only thing the kid does. And he wasn't participating in class. Um, he's not doing his work. So there's a lot of different things that, because his home life isn't good, it's affecting him. And if you don't deal with those things, even as grown-ups, you may mature. Your decision making may have gotten better, but you can still, without knowing, be making someone else's life or harming someone else's life.
Yeah, you
And
can become like toxic parents. I see that stuff all the time. Narcissistic parents, they bully and all that kind of stuff. Like, I can totally see that. I get what you're saying. I don't mean all.
yeah,
I don't mean all, like, just because you mature, like, you learn from your mistakes. But I feel like in order to learn from it, you have to mature. You can't just learn from it and stay where you're at
yeah, no,
mentally, because
100%.
that's you get over it by growing.
Yeah, 100%. Let's move on to the story. So, like we keep telling y'all, follow us on all the social media platforms. We reached out to all of our followers on Facebook to ask them questions about their stories and if they were willing to share those. So this is what we have. The bartender is going to read them off for us.
So throughout elementary and middle school, I deal with some bullying here and there. Nothing too serious. Just kids joking about me bushy eyebrows and crooked teeth. They probably thought it was just harmless jokes, but what they said still definitely stuck with me. Middle school bullying and high school bullying were two totally different things. Middle school was backhanded compliments where you didn't really know if you should take it personal. High school was a whole nother level of taunting. It could be something one day where someone makes an unwanted comment on your body in front of the whole class. Could be someone whispering rude things in your ear when you walk by. One time, my backpack brushed up against a girl's shoulder, and she screamed at me and called me a bitch in front of the whole cafeteria. These were only little things that made me visit the counselor's office for a breather. Nothing I couldn't handle. Sophomore year, I went through some more messed up shit and was receiving a lot of hate, but this time over the internet because of COVID. Girls would post candid photos of me eating, zoom in on unflattering photos of me and post them, call me every bad word in the dictionary. I watched some of my closest friends at school post that I shouldn't be safe when I leave my house, and that someone needs to leak my address so that things could be handled already. I had men threatening to shoot me up. I had girls that wanted to beat me up. All I could do was post and explain my situation and try to explain that no matter what the severity is, that nobody should receive the words I'm hearing. Things settled down, but I now have so much anxiety leaving the house. I'm terrified to graduate with these people. I'm scared to go out and run into the wrong people. When this was happening, I lost all my appetite for a while and dropped weight that I just can't put back on. I'm scared to have a social media, and I'm terrified of receiving no caller ID calls. The situation caused me to lose my first boyfriend of 3 years and some friends I've known my whole life. People would rather side with everyone against me than be seen with me again. I still have everything I need, though. I have the same two best friends since kindergarten and my family. Not a day goes by where I don't remember something awful someone has said to me, but I know with time, things do get better. My mental health wasn't in the right place when that all happened to me, but I pulled through it, and now I can wake up and fall asleep with no anxiety. I've grown so much self-love, I don't think there's any situation that could come at me and make me crumble again. I feel like I've truly been through it all, and even now, if someone posts something randomly about me, it's more of a, am I seriously on your mind kind of thing. Taking words personal from a person who doesn't even like themselves does no good.
That's a lot to unpack. One. Two, I want to really thank the anonymous person who told us that story, because that's a lot of stuff and it's a lot of scary stuff to have to deal with, and for you to be open is very appreciative, and I think it's good.
Her story, in a lot of ways, unfortunately, sounds like a lot of stories that I've seen without actually even really hearing, right? And what I mean by this is that oftentimes we even participate in bullying without realizing that we're participating in it. I'm not trying to, minimize anything that anybody's done. But I remember in high school, there was maybe one or two girls that were often the butt of many jokes. And not only were there harsh and mean jokes about their appearance, about things that may not even exist, like an odor. I mean, just stupid shit. And I do remember very vividly this particular person I'm talking about not really having many friends just because of that. It was like she said, everyone rather join in on the bullying and not be her friend or not talk with her than actually, get to really know her. And that sucks. It sucks because there's a lot of people I know who were a part of that.
I had a girl like that in my school. I remember. I never really said, I don't remember really saying anything because she was really sweet, really quiet. But there would be situations where we'd be walking around campus and she'd be sitting on the bench. And there'd be people who were mean to her. She used to read all the time. And I remember someone coming up and grabbing her book and running away. And it makes me sad.
Yeah.
It makes me wish I would have done more. But I realize that now as an adult versus obviously a teenager. You have a different mindset when you're young. You don't really see the opportunities that you could pursue to fix things.
Yeah.
You fall into peer pressure, unfortunately.
And also too, I think everyone's trying so hard to fit in, in a lot of cases, that they just join in whatever's happening.
They don't care.
Yeah. They're not
as
realizing.
long as they're not being bullied, it's fine.
Right. And that's, I really do. I think that I'm very happy that there's been a lot of awareness about bullying, and it's been in the, I guess, in the favor, or I guess in the viewpoint of the bullied, right? Where there's a lot of awareness about what to do if you've been bullied, or what to do, how to deal with bullies, what to do if your school's not getting involved and helping you with removing the bullying situation. I there needs to be more education, though, when it comes to what bullying actually is, right? Are you participating in it? Because, like I said, the person at my school, I am now just thinking about it. I mean, there's been times where I maybe participated in some banter, but that was making that person's life worse.
Mm-hmm.
That person had to front and fake a smile every single day because of what everybody was doing to them.
It's a lot.
And the shitty thing is, I went to a really small school. Yeah.
It's like a small town type situation. Everyone knows everything. Can't do anything without anyone knowing.
Right. So when 6 people are doing it, it's like everyone's doing it at my school. So it was really shitty. Now, she talked about 2 different forms of bullying. She talked about what she experienced physically, and then what she experienced on the internet. And I do believe that there's a lot of misconception about what cyberbullying actually is. Because I've heard plenty of jokes. I've heard a lot of comedians talk about this very subject and, say things like, hey, I mean, how are these kids so soft nowadays where they're able to get cyberbullied? Just turn off your phone. It's
not that simple, unfortunately.
It isn't that simple. And I get it. If you didn't grow up with social media as a child, you don't understand all what it is, right? Social media is a social space, just like the playground is a social space, just like the classroom is a social space, right? So if it's happening there, or if it's happening on the playground, it's happening other places too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So if it's happening on the internet, it's also happening other places too. I wanted to play a video that kind of talks about the effects of cyberbullying and all what it is. So here it is here. So I know you probably heard little bits and pieces of that.
Headphones issues.
No,
Sorry.
I get it. But from what you did hear, what were your thoughts?
I feel like that's a lot of it's very true. I definitely feel like the kids not talking to the parents part is very accurate. Another thing is, I don't think she didn't mention it from when my headphone fell out, but maybe they don't want to tell them because they think their parents aren't going to understand. That's another thing too with this new type of bullying and stuff. Parents don't understand that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like you said, comedians saying, "Oh, just shut it off." It's not that easy. So I feel like that would be another reason for that.
Yeah. I mean that's a really good point. I definitely agree with that. Like I said, I mean social media is a social space,
and it's
right?
constantly changing too.
It is constantly changing, and there really isn't anything out there that really prevents cyberbullying. Like memes, it could even be a way of cyberbullying if you really think about it, right? If there's a video or a meme out there that with your face on it and you didn't okay it, but now you're the butt of the joke, and it's something that really resonates with you in a negative way. Yeah, it's once it starts circulating, it's almost impossible to stop.
Yeah.
Like
I've seen a bunch of stuff like that, social media stories where people just do the wrong thing and it will not leave. It won't leave them alone for the rest of life.
yeah. Have you ever been cyberbullied?
Yes, I have. In high school, I was cyberbullied, and it is way different cyberbullying like now versus like when I was in high school.
Okay, in what ways?
Well, I feel like social media wasn't as big. Like it just started out honestly, like high school and type of stuff. So yeah. I got bullied through Facebook. I got bullied. This girl from my high school messaged me. I think I said this on the last episode. She called me a fat cow.
Yeah,
she was just very mean, and yeah. And then I've actually, bad core memory. Okay. When I was younger, I am all the time, right? I am Yahoo, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in this group chat with like two other of my friends. We were really close friends. And then all of a sudden, one of them all of a sudden just turned on me and told my other friend that I was telling all these lies and I was just being this person. And literally both of and then the other girl got mad at me and then wasn't friends with me anymore. Like that literally was probably my first interaction with cyberbullying that was my first interaction when I was younger.
Yeah.
That was horrible. Oh, I just remembered that.
So when you guys sent me over the questions and I was reviewing them, and I started to work on even maybe some of the other stuff that I wanted to put in there too, like this, very question, have you ever been cyberbullied? It kind of forced me to really think about it. And it's weird because as much as I've been through in my life, the cyberbullying is what did the most damage to me as a person. I did experience cyberbullying, and I experienced it as an adult. I experienced it at the age of 24 when me and the mother of my kids split. I'm not going to get into all the details, but there was a lot of rumors circulating. And at this time, mind you, I really had very little internet access.
So you weren't seeing what was being said?
I wasn't seeing what was being said to me directly. I mean, most of the people who were saying things about me weren't even on my friends list. But when I moved back to California from Oregon, everyone had turned on me, besides a few people. And these rumors, a lot of people assumed that they were true. See, that was the major harm. And that's why, when like these people say, well, if you're being cyberbullied, just turn the internet off. That doesn't fix the problem.
Because their bullying continues, so they can keep saying whatever narrative they want to spread about you.
It's not just that the narrative. It's not just that it continues. It's that cyberbullying doesn't just affect the internet. It affects your life outside the internet as well. Because there's real people on the internet. The people who have these Facebook profiles, they're real people behind those, right? So when they hear a rumor or they hear banter or they see any of this stuff and they get involved and they get engaged about it, the feelings and the perspectives that they're gaining, they're real perspectives, or they're their own real perspectives, right? It's theirs, meaning it's not the truth, but they believe, they perceive it to be true. And that really affected my life in a very negative way. It affected how people saw me. It affected who was willing to work with me. And I was completely caught off guard by it.
Blindsided like a motherfucker.
I was completely blindsided by it. And because I was blindsided by it, it sent me into deep, deep, deep depression.
Yeah, I can only imagine having to deal with all those people turn on you. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of heartbrokenness right there that you have to deal with.
Yeah. It really shook me to my core. It did. So, for me, cyberbullying has had a much greater effect than physical bullying ever had. Like I said, the only thing I really carry is just some social anxiety from the physical bullying, and maybe I dealt with some identity, issues. Am I black enough or that type of shit? But overall, like, the cyberbullying created trust issues. The cyberbullying created deep depression where I actually thought about ending my life. Sorry if I'm getting too wrong here. Maybe I have to put a trigger warning in this episode, but this is serious business, guys. I mean, this isn't something to be joking around about. This is something that you can't take lightly, and you can't just keep chalking it up to kids will be kids, or this is an aspect of just being kids. Just because you were the bully as a kid or you were bullied as a kid, it's not okay for that to continue happening. But moving on, how would you define bullying? How would you yourself define it?
I define bullying as someone who is causing harm to someone else, either for their enjoyment or agenda.
Yeah.
Basically what it is.
Yeah, I would say my definition is pretty close. I would say, and actually, I like your definition better.
Oh, thanks.
I do, just because the
big words.
No, the 5-letter word, or whatever, 5-letter word, but
it sounded nice.
Enjoyment. That's that's a big part of it. A lot of people do participate out of enjoyment, which is really
people
shitty,
like being mean, unfortunately, and it sucks.
Yeah, well,
I think they like the feeling that they make people feel, making people feel small, because they want to feel honcho in charge.
Yeah, well, people operate on the basis of serving themselves, and there are plenty of ways to serve yourself. And some people get energy or cope with whatever they're dealing with by harming others, and it's not right and it's not fair. But that's just unfortunately what it is. My definition was using your presence or your influence to harm others. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by your influence, popularity plays a huge role in bullying. Like, usually the more popular kid has the ability to bully someone who's less popular, right?
You see it in celebrities. You see in celebrity stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Bigger celebrities dog other ones, and all their fans bully that celebrity. So you see it everywhere.
Yeah, more people. If more people like you, your words carry more weight. So if you start a rumor about somebody, then it's more believable than little Timmy here who has 100 followers on Instagram and no friends on Facebook, and he tells his story about how he's been bullied by Johnny or Chad, about, whatever. So the dictionary says to seek to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone perceived as vulnerable, which I think we're just right on par with that. Would you say bullying and harassment are the same?
It's a good question. Hold on.
No, you can think about it.
Yeah, you go first.
I'm not going to tell you overall what I guess what the right answer is, but initially, yeah, I had to do some, like I said, I had to do some research. Initially my first thought was, yeah, hell yeah, harassment's bullying.
I feel like,
but
hold on. I feel like bullying is more personal than harassment. If that makes, like, it can be more personal than harassment. Because I feel like guys can harass females and they don't know them. That's harassment, but that's not bullying. Like a guy won't leave me alone after I tell him no. That's harassment. But bullying has more like an agenda to it. I feel like it's a
yeah. And that's when I had to do my research, that's what it came up on. It was
ding, ding.
Oftentimes harassment could be done without the intentions of harming someone. But it's also still done because you do carry a power dynamic over that person.
Ego.
And no, not just ego, but for example, like one of the biggest topics right now when it comes to harassment is always sexual harassment, right? In the workplace. Your boss who hired you, who writes your check, who
controls everything,
controls your hours for how, controls your pay, makes a move on you. That's harassment, right? Now, is he bullying you? Depends on how he's doing it.
Well, because I feel
if he's really actually like holding those things over you, but yeah, that's harassment. Bullying would be that extra thing where he goes, "Hey, Megan, if you don't do this, or else I'm going to fire you, or you don't do this, or else I'm going to." It is blackmail, and I think blackmail is a form of
blackmail. I feel like with harassment, there is a different agenda because sometimes it's like they're harassing you because they either want your attention or something. They're thinking in their head something positive. Whereas I feel like bullies their intention is to be mean. Like someone can be harassing me, but also be very like nice. They don't have to be like mean about harassing me, but you can still be harassing me if I want you to leave me alone. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like in public, if someone's talking to you, they can be nice talking to you, but if you tell them to leave you alone and they don't, it's considered harassing, even though they're still coming at you with a nice demeanor and everything. I've had that happen before. But like bullying, your intention is to be mean and hurt someone's feelings. So I feel like that's another distinction, like difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's the only reason why I put that question in there because I think it is important to kind of understand the difference. Between the two, because I do think that you have to handle the two very differently. Which leads me to my next question: like how did you deal with your bullies? Or here we go. Here's a better question: did you deal with your bullies?
No, I locked up all of my emotions inside.
Yeah.
Inside right here, and they ooze out every once in a while. I have not dealt with that kind of stuff. As I've grown, I've realized what's happened and I've come to terms with everything.
Yeah.
But have I dealt with that damage? No, definitely not. It's still there because I can still feel that it affects me throughout my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there an actual way though to deal with it?
I feel like therapy is one way it can help. Gaining confidence is another way to help because if you realize, these bullies' words don't matter and it's just a reflection of themselves in the end, that can also help too.
Yeah. I've never actually agreed with that statement.
What?
Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. I know you didn't say that, but I know you didn't say that, but you said something that made me think about that. And I was thinking, like, I've never agreed with that statement. Actually, even more so as an adult. I think that's like the most unhealthy statement ever. Like, kind of like the whole, like, unless you take it the wrong way. Like, fake it till you make it, that whole shit too.
Mhm.
I don't think you should fake it till you make it. I think
It's not healthy. You'll
I think you
burn
got to address
eventually.
your problems. I think you got to look like head on with your issues and actually address it. That doesn't mean quit. That doesn't mean cry in public.
It means deal with it.
It just means deal with it. But no, words hurt, man. Words can hurt people. Words are how we define things.
People are more conniving now and more petty.
Yeah.
And I feel like the more being petty is also a form of bullying.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Now let me put you in a scenario though.
Okay.
I'm just curious. So you're back in high school.
Which year?
I don't know. Freshman year.
Okay,
Freshman year. And there's this senior girl who's been fucking with you. What would you tell yourself now how to deal with that? How would
just ignore?
You currently you would tell your past self to ignore it?
My past self, yes, because when I was in high school, I always worried about, which I still do worry about what people think of me, but I was really way more worried about in high school. I really wanted people to like me because growing up, I didn't have people like me.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would tell myself when, if I was in high school, like being bullied right now, I would just say to ignore it. The words don't matter. Like where my life is right now, I'm pretty content with it. Like with my relationship in school and everything, life will get better. That bitch is probably going to have like 7 kids before she's 24. The popular girl, like her life is probably not going to be the greatest. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like I feel like people that bully have their nose up high too. Like I'm better than you, and most of the time, like everyone's equal. And I don't know, just rambling. Sorry.
No, I mean, no, you're not rambling.
Your face expressions make me feel like I'm rambling.
No, we podding over here. Shoot, if whatever on your mind about it, go ahead, spit it. But I will say, and no disrespect, but I do disagree with ignoring it. I get it because that has worked for people in a sense of not being harmed physically, not being punched in the face, or and being able to go home and then become an adult and then deal with it in counseling or therapy later on in life.
I meant like ignore the words. Like ignore the words that she's saying because they don't matter.
Yeah. I've looked up this question to try to see what experts say on how to deal with a bully, like how to actually deal with a bully. And every answer is different from each page, like vastly different.
Mm-hmm.
And you could literally counter argue every single answer, like go tell a teacher. There's been most situations where that just hasn't worked.
There's no solution.
Stand up to your bully.
Black eye.
That's also been a situation where that hasn't worked. And I think it's all about your circumstances.
Bullying isn't a one answer fix though. So I mean every answer could work, but
yeah, but I think you gotta, like I said, I think you have to look at your circumstances, right? Keep it real. All bullying doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
Not all circumstances are the same. Things are dealt with differently in different areas and also in different cultures. You go and tell the teacher, the bully may react in a different way. You go and try to stand up to your bully, hell, you could win. You can get in the fight with the bully and actually win the fight.
But violence isn't the answer to bullying.
I have seen, and actually, not just seen, but I have been, I guess, in a way, a victim or caught in the cross, fires with it, where a guy, beat the shit out of somebody, and then that person, humiliated, went and got help. And it wasn't like the help from, other classmates. It was the help from adults. If you're getting bullied by someone who has gang ties, yeah, shit, you put hands on them, they might come back. People are shooting nowadays. You know what I'm saying?
Over nothing.
There's plenty of videos on the internet where someone tried to stand up to their bully and they got jumped. And
like shooting downtown. They were arguing. They were just arguing over stupid stuff, and then they just shot each other.
Well, I mean, that from all the details that I've gathered, it sounds like that was more premeditated, but um, you know, that could get you hurt. But one thing I would say has worked, and it's not on the person, and this is just my opinion, y'all. It's not just on the person who's being bullied to solve their bullying problem. There are too many people who witness someone else getting bullied and mind their fucking business. And to me, that is the problem. If you see someone being physically harmed by somebody, or you even see someone being harmed verbally over the internet, and you're witnessing it, that person needs someone to stand in their corner. For real. You know what I'm saying? Like if an adult or even a friend, someone who they consider a friend, said something, that might change the circumstances. Or more than just a friend, multiple friends,
A random
multiple
stranger being
people.
on your side is going to show more because it's going to be like, oh, you're willing to be on my side even though not knowing me.
Yeah. I
Stuff
mean,
like
truthfully, the key to most problems is empathy.
Yeah, a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah, that's
This world has made a lot of people not have that, unfortunately.
straight up. I mean, that's the key to most problems, and I think that's really the key to solving the bullying issue. I think that there will always be bullying, just like there will always be
Unfortunately.
racism, just like there will always be sexism, just like there will always be classism. Those things have existed since biblical days. I don't think they're going anywhere.
I don't think so either.
But overall, man, empathy is the key. You know, empathy helps solve a lot of problems. Is there anything that you think could ever, I guess, good come from bullying? Like from the person who's been bullied. Like, is there anything you could take from the experience?
Well, because I haven't dealt with my shit, I would say, for me, okay, the story that we had, the anonymous person, they became a stronger person for it. And even in the response saying, you know, I'm at a point where my life where I don't think anything can bring me down and crumble again. And I feel like situations like that where you can build your confidence up so much to where you'll never ever let anyone put you in that position are going to make you feel that way.
Yeah.
I feel like that is good. That is good. That does come out of it because it does make you stronger.
Yeah.
You know, everyone will go through situations in their life where it has to make them stronger. Death, bullying, you know, just life, unfortunately. So I feel like that is a good thing. If a bully can realize that they're being a bully and become a better person, I also feel like that's good because if they don't realize it, they'll continue the rest of their life being like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not good to be a bully, but if you can learn from your mistakes and get past it, because everyone makes mistakes. Everyone does dumb shit. You know, I don't feel like people should be held accountable for stuff that happened, depending on the situation. Depending on the situation, people shouldn't be held accountable for stuff like that if you can like move and learn and grow from it.
Right. You know, I agree with everything you said. And that, you know, that has been the truth for a lot of people. I'm not saying that bullying needs to happen in order for you to learn all those lessons.
Yeah,
and
you
that's
guys can
kind of
find another situation to definitely help be a better person.
right. And that's kind of my, you know, like I guess where I was thinking about it was, you know, with all the things that I've learned from my childhood, from my adulthood, I could have learned those same lessons without bullying ever being a component. You know, identity crisis or identity issues. You know, I could have learned how I could have learned to accept who I was without being bullied.
Yeah.
You know, dealing with social situations. Once again, could have learned all that without being bullied. Empathy. You know, actually, the people who I bullied, having empathy for them, I could have learned all that even without it too. But yeah, I know I do think there's life lessons and everything. I just want to make sure that for the people who watch this, who come from, I guess, the old way of doing things,
Open your
who
eyes a
have,
little bit.
yeah, who have like that way of thinking of, well, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. You know, we're in this era now where people are coming out about their mental illnesses that they have and that they deal with. And, you know, it may seem like, oh shit, everyone deals with anxiety. Everyone's depressed. All these people are soft. Where are all these people? Like, no. We all been dealing with it. It's just no one's been talking about it because, we've been taught to just keep it sheltered in. And I think with that way of thinking of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, just teaches you just to hold things in. So
that mentality, I feel like, is a dying breed because of how many more resources there are now.
Yeah.
There's not, it's not 100% accessible for everybody, but there's therapy apps now, and there's, it's like easier to get a therapist to help you, and there's easier ways to get support groups and stuff. I feel like I agree with you. People need to open their eyes a little bit, but I do feel like that way of thinking is dying out.
Yeah.
Which it needs to be. You shouldn't have to have a thick skin for every fucking thing. You should be allowed to have emotions. We are built with these emotions. They are function in our brain. We should be able to express them all. Yeah. Even if you are extra dramatic. You should be able to express everything. So I feel like it'll honestly, in about 10 years, the whole dynamic of bullying, I feel like will change.
For better or for worse?
For better. Because I feel like society is moving more towards being open about mental health and all this type of stuff. As of, like, when I was in high school 10 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
This conversation didn't happen a lot. There wasn't resources. So I give it another 10 years and it'll be better.
Yeah. Well, in my little research I did, since 2016, the numbers of reported bullying has come down. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think it's a good thing. I'd like to.
Why wouldn't it be a good thing?
Maybe people are not reporting that they're being bullied, but nevertheless, the numbers come down. So I agree with you. I do think the numbers will continue to go down as long as there is awareness and as long as people are talking about it and being honest about their experiences. Also, too, people get more educated about what is bullying. How are they contributing to bullying? And, as long as everyone's learning, this is the information of, this is the era of information, it's only going to get better from here. So I think that's about it for this topic. I know, guys, this was a super heavy topic. I dreaded doing this episode.
Why?
Just because I knew it was going to be heavy. You never, if you have trauma and even if you've dealt with it, talking about it and opening up about it again, still it re-triggers, some of those old wounds, or reopens a lot of those old wounds. So I did.
Were you scared you're going to go back and possibly feel any of those feelings again?
Well, I did feel those feelings again. That's, I had to prepare myself for what I was going to feel on this episode. I knew talking about how I was bullied was going to affect me, but I knew more so talking about the fact that I was a bully was going to really affect me. But next week, we are going to get back to the way we do shit.
A little more fun topic. Yeah. It'll be interesting, I think.
Yeah, we're going to do love languages. We're going to talk about the 5 love languages, physical touch. Actually, I'm not going to get into them now.
Yeah, then we'll just keep talking about it.
I'm going to burn through material.
Won't be able to stop.
You guys can listen to this episode and learn everything you need to know. Fuck that. But as we already talked about at the beginning of this episode, we are going to all the streaming platforms for podcasts like Spotify, Apple Pod, Google.
All of it.
Even the ones I've even heard of. There's so many of them out there.
There's a lot.
Definitely check those out. You'll see the link in the description below. Also, subscribe to the YouTube page. We are now posting all of our videos on the Arctic House TV YouTube page. There's going to be so much more content on there. There's other podcasts on that platform. And you're also going to see even some cross-podding type stuff where maybe Megan's on one of the other podcasts, or maybe I'm on I am on another podcast.
You're on both. No, we gotta have something you can. Okay, we'll have
I had to have
someone
one that
else,
I'm not
okay?
on.
So either I'll be over and shit talk, hanging out with the boys, talking a bunch of shit, or one of them will come over here and we can talk about life and relationship type stuff. It's basically what's going to be.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But
Prentice isn't at all, though, so it's okay.
I'm in everything. I work
Yeah,
too hard.
yeah. I mean, you makes sense. So yeah, we'll just leave it there.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, subscribe, like the video. Please hit the bell so that way you can get the notifications. There's a lot of big things coming.
A lot of fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Fun topics.
Yeah.
I'm
We already
excited.
have a lot of them already picked out too.
Yeah.
Please, once again, follow us on all of our other platforms, social media like TikTok. You can want to see that. Once again, we're moving everything over to Arctic House, so just do Arctic House TV for TikTok. You will be able to find us there, or Arctic House.
It's good. You know what? I've always wanted to do this.
Oh, the Arctic House. Yeah, the Arctic House.
It's right here. You're gonna put it. You're gonna
Yeah,
put
it's
something
gonna be in the description. Here I am trying to remember all the links off the top of my head, like I'm some fucking type of genius.
I've always wanted to.
I'm really not. But yeah. Anyways, if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it. Send it to other folks.
We have that contest that we'll be doing. So once we reach 50 subscribers, we'll be doing a giveaway for a gift card. So the faster we get those subscribers, the faster someone gets that gift card. So share our stuff and subscribe.
There we go. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a good night, and thank you for watching.